In a move that marks an escalation in its domestic crackdown, the Russian government has recently enacted a law that heralds grave implications for anti-war Russians living abroad. A new piece of legislation enables authorities to seize the assets of Russians who have fled the country and have taken a stance opposing the state. The legislation is seen as the Kremlin's attempt to extend its jurisdiction and suppress dissent beyond its borders, to send a clear warning to exiles that dissent will not be tolerated, regardless of where they reside. Under the new law, the assets of those who are deemed to have spread fake news about the Russian military or to have called for sanctions against their homeland can be confiscated. This broad and vague characterization has raised fear among the expatriate Russian community, many of whom have spoken out against policies implemented by their government. This is not just an isolated policy, but part of a wider approach by the Kremlin to stifle opposition. The Russian authorities are reportedly pushing other countries to take action against expatriate dissidents, leading to a growing concern that this could result in what has been termed forced returns. Such an eventuality would see exiles facing potential extradition back to Russia, where they could face criminal charges and persecution. The significance of this development extends beyond the immediate worry for those at risk of asset seizure. It paints a picture of a government that is keen on consolidating power and authority, clamping down on dissent, and attempting to regain control of the national narrative, particularly regarding the ongoing military actions and the political climate. The Russian government's aggressive stance towards dissenters within and without its borders could pose serious human rights concerns. It signals a potential pivot towards greater authoritarianism and an expanding climate of fear for those who disagree with the Kremlin's actions. The international community watches with concern, as the implications of this law could have far-reaching impacts not only on Russian nationals living abroad, but also on the principles of freedom of expression and political asylum. Diplomatic tensions may likewise increase if Russian pressure on other countries is perceived as infringing on their sovereignty and the rights of political exiles. As the landscape for Russians living abroad becomes more precarious due to this legislation, the need for legal and diplomatic channels to address such unilateral measures that challenge international norms and the safety of individuals raises critical questions. The fate of Russian dissidents overseas remains uncertain as the chill of the Kremlin's reach extends beyond its borders.